Boleh start Okay, so saya Yusman daripada Instrument Edar Technology. Yang kita dah supplykan peralatan is in terms of kita punya air sampling pump, gas detector dan juga kita punya gas detector tube punya sekali dengan pump dia lah. So kita akan go through the training of kita punya beberapa alatan kita ni, ialah contohnya perkara yang ini ialah kita punya air sampling pump. So air sampling pump ni is the latest model which is sekarang dia ada digital punya inilah screen. Okay. So digital punya screen. So daripada digital punya screen ni kita usually-nya boleh set upkan kita punya peralatan ni in terms of berapa flow rate. So daripada sini kita just boleh scroll through kita punya settings. It's either kita nak terus run. Okay. Okay. Macam mana doktor? Ada slide. Tak apa, ada slide. Kita nak go through the peralatan dan then saya go through the slide lah. Okay. So in terms of daripada physical peralatan ni, dia ada few buttons which is the back, up and down, on and off, dan kita boleh plus minus untuk adjust kita punya settings lah. So in terms of daripada sini kita boleh tengok dia ada run, flow set, calibrate, setup, control mode, run setup, review. So there's a lot of yang kita boleh buat lah in terms of maintenance pun ada. Tapi usually-nya it's daripada kita punya side lah untuk maintenance. So kalau for instance kita nak setkan based on kita punya NMAM yang kita refer kepada berapa flow rate dia lah in terms of liter per minute. So kita convertkan kepada cc per minute dan kita transfer. Contohnya lah 2 liter per minute dimensionkan dalam NMAM. So kita kena setkan kepada 2000 cc per minute lah. Okay. So kalau contohnya kita nak adjust the flow rate tu, kita just plus minus. So nanti dia akan tukar. So kita just boleh tekan lama-lama untuk dia tukarkan kepada flow rate yang kita nak lah. Contohnya 1 liter per minute, means that 1000 cc. Kita just tekan sampai dia 1000. Okay. So kalau macam tu kita still nampak arrow, means dia tak lock lagi lah. So kita just tekan enter. Okay. So once dia enter, hilang dah dia punya arrow tu, kita just boleh start the run lah. So currently kita boleh tengok kat bawah ni is high. High means that it's currently in high flow lah. So kalau nya meaning in terms CF is constant flow lah. Meaning that in terms of kalau kita pakai kita punya all of kita punya sampling media. So kalau contohnya kita pakai various ada dual charcoal tubes. So kita kena pakai that accessories dan kita kena tukarkan kepada dia punya correct control flow lah. Constant flow ataupun sebab kalau kita tengok in terms of setup dia ada beberapa which I will go through the slides yang dia ada in terms of kita boleh setkan dia punya flow mode dia lah. Okay. So in terms of control mode dia is ada CF, constant pressure low, constant pressure high and also constant pressure constant flow. So dia ada 3 lah. Tapi in terms of kita nak pakai tu kita kena identify kita punya flow rate and berapa media kita nak pakai lah. Alright.
Bila kita dah setting tadi flow rate tu, kita nanti dia hilang ke dalam tu ke ataupun kita kena setting balik?
Kalau kita dah tutup.
Kita dah tutup.
Kalau kita dah tutup nanti dia akan maintain the last setting yang kita dah buat lah. Sebab dalam unit yang ni is the most advanced which dia ada data logging juga. So kalau ada data logging, usually-nya dia akan ada, dia akan save lah last parameters yang kita dah set tu lah. Okay, so daripada sini kalau kita nak start run, kita dah check in terms of high and constant flow. So kalau contohnya it's low, kalau dekat sini dia tulis reading dia low, kita pakai screw ni untuk kita changekan kepada high balik lah. Okay, the reason kalau low ni ialah untuk low flow punya modes lah in terms of daripada 300 cc per minute up until 550 lah. Ataupun below 450 di considered low flow lah. So kita kena setkan kepada low. Okay, so daripada situ kalau kita dah setkan kepada 1000 cc per minute, kita nak start the run, kita just press enter at the run punya ni lah. Okay, so apa dia bagi tahu in terms of battery not full means that kita kena alarm lah, aware in terms of runtime kita tu, dia tak lama lah as per berapa flow yang kita dah set. So make sure before kita gunakan peralatan ni, kita fully charge dulu lah. Okay, so dia akan slowly increase sampai 1000 cc per minute which yang I dah set tadi. Once dia dah stable, dia akan blinking green lah. Dia akan blinking green. So blinking green tu meaning dia dah kira dah fix kepada kita punya setting. And then dia susah nak ubah lah. And then in terms of kalau contohnya, in terms of sensitivity of this pump, dia boleh tahu whether the media is not connected or not, because dia akan keluar connect media sampai kita connectkan Tigon tubing with the media lah. Sebab
what media is usually used?
okay, the media that is
So how
usually
is
used,
connected in the media?
okay, connected to the media is with this tubing and also connectors lah. Okay, contohnya kalau kita nak gunakan charcoal tubes, then kita kena pakai this one.
Charcoal tube nanti kita masukkan.
Yes, masukkan, kita patahkan dan kita masukkan dalam ni lah, and then kita tighten and then kita just clip on, pasang Tigon tubing. So that is the way lah. And then in terms of kita punya cassette. Okay, kalau cassette kita pakai tubing dia besar sikit compared to kita punya this one, kita punya charcoal tube. So dia bagi kita in terms of kita punya lure connector and then lure adapter and also Tigon tubing dia yang sama jugalah, tapi size dia besar sikit. Okay, so from this, dia ada bagi kita instructional diagram kat sini. Kita boleh connectkan kita punya Tigon tubing as per picture. And also kita punya lure fitting ni, kat bahagian atas ni, yang clear ni, kita perlu masukkan kepada kita punya cassette tu lah. Okay, so from there, kita boleh connectkan kepada cassette. Depending on what cassette yang kita pakai, semua boleh pakai lah. So far, dia memang boleh masukkan dia punya size tu is correct lah. Okay, so kalau kita pakai cassette, kita pakai this kit. Kalau kita pakai sorbent tube, kita pakai this kit lah. Alright. So in terms of kita punya cyclone ni is connected with kita punya cassette. So kita ambil cassette kita tu for dust lah. Usually ni kita akan pakai cyclone ni. So kita akan masukkan kita punya cassette tu in between here and then connectkan kat bahagian atas ni, the opening tu pada lure tu lah. And then connect the Tigon tubing kepada kita punya pump.
Okay. Then this one then connect to the cassette.
Yes, this one connected to the cassette and then the cassette is connected to this one lah, to the pump lah. Okay,
So
so
dia ada tunjuk gambar kan macam mana dia nak connect?
usually gambar raja dia ada dekat bahagian dalam ni. So nanti kita boleh referkan kepada dalam ni, ataupun in terms of kalau contohnya dia tak ada bagi diagram, nanti saya akan boleh go through with you lah in terms of cara pemasangannya. Tapi it's quite easy lah. It's just kita just pull this apart, kita put the cassette in between and then kita masukkan kita punya tubing tu kat bahagian atas ni melalui inlet dia lah, of the cassette lah. Kalau contohnya kita gambaran kat sini, so cyclone tu akan berada atas dan bawah lah. Means that this is the top part and this is the bottom part lah.
Has all the cassette this thing, right?
Cassette ni is in terms of accessories lah. Kalau you sampling media lah, kita tak bagi sekali lah. Kita just bagi the kit to connect to the cassette and sorbent tube and also kita punya ni lah.
Okay.
And then in terms of yang latest proposal yang I dah bagi kepada Dr. Is, that kita akan bagikan in terms of kita punya calibration, cyclone calibration jar, where you are required to use that cyclone calibration jar untuk calibrate the cassette with the cyclone. So nanti you akan, dalam diagram dia akan tunjuk pada gambar aja calibration jar tu is that connected to the cyclone, the cassette is connected to the cyclone, and then you masukkan dia dalam calibration jar tu lah. Then you start calibrate it with the calibration punya calibrator punya unit lah, airflow calibrator. Okay. So in terms of daripada accessories, these are the bagi yang untuk sampling. Okay, this is connected to the PC. Okay, for instance, kalau you nak transfer, nak tengok in terms of analysis of you punya flow rate berapa apa semua, then you boleh connect it to the PC lah using this cable. Using this cable is to connect it to dia punya docking kat bahagian belakang, and then kita connect it to our PC lah. And then in terms of daripada USB ni, ada juga kita bagi software dia. So daripada situ you can do further analysis lah in terms of the software, sebab usuallynya air sampling pump ni is used for general purpose, kita nak collect the sample. So kalau advanced unit ni ada extra features lah yang kita in terms of daripada software tu dia boleh bagi kita in terms of kita punya flow rate, in terms of total 8 hours kita boleh analyse from daripada kita start sampai habis tu berapa fluctuation dia, berapa banyak. Sebab usually kalau kita sample at site, kita akan just leave for 8 hours ataupun berapa hours yang kita perlu untuk kita collect the sample, dan kita just pick up. Kita tak tahu whether ada fluctuation ataupun Tigon tubing tu tersekat ke apa. So from there kita boleh buat further analysis lah in terms of kita punya sampling tu. Okay. So contohnya this is the docking. Docking ni ialah untuk kita charging dengan juga data communication lah. So for instance, ada yang airflow calibrator yang akan sampai pada bulan 9 tu, is kita boleh buat smart cal. Smart cal is meaning that contohnya you dah connectkan kepada you punya filter media, you dah connectkan Tigon tubing, and then at the end of the cassette tu, kalau contohnya lah kita referkan kepada gambar ni, bawah cassette ni kita akan connectkan kepada kita punya yang airflow calibrator yang akan sampai bulan 9 tu lah. So daripada situ kita setkan flow rate, contohnya 1 liter per minit. Kita nak tengok with the connected media, ada variation tak dia punya flow rate dia. So daripada situlah analysis yang dia buat in terms of initial and bila kita habis lah. So kita nak pre and post lah. So kita nak tengok variation of kita punya flow rate tu berbeza tak from the start and to the end lah. Okay, so daripada situ nanti once the alat sampai, kita akan go through lah macam mana kita nak calibrate using that airflow calibrator. Okay, so from here kita boleh tengok kalau kita dah start from tadi, okay, dia boleh tunjukkan kita total runtime yang kita dah jalan is about 6 minutes. So dia akan bagi in terms of general lah so far, in terms of volume yang berapa dia dah use, and then in terms of back pressure, and then in terms of expected kita punya runtime lah, probability of runtime dia in terms of 5 hours plus lah. So daripada situ depending on battery lah. Kalau contohnya kita fully charge, dia akan lagi tinggi lah. And then depend on kalau kita contohnya flow rate dia is rendah, usually dia akan tahan lagi lama lah. So that is usually the case.
Macam mana nak stopkan dia?
Okay, kalau nak stopkan, kita just tadi kita dekat sini kita tengok dia ada enter and tutup kan. So kita just press yang button yang sama, nanti dia akan tanya kita in terms of pause ataupun stop lah. Okay, so daripada situ kita just boleh tekan pause. Okay, ataupun just kita nak continue pun tak ada masalah, kita just tekan continue balik. Kalau kita nak stop, kita just scroll ke bawah and then kita just tekan stop. So dia akan bagi kita summary of kita punya last ni lah apa yang monitor sampling yang kita dah buat. Dia bagi tahu kita in terms of flow set kita berapa, volume kita berapa, runtime kita berapa, and berapa data logging events yang kita dah accumulate lah. Okay, so contohnya lah, bila saya bukakan telefon saya, sebab dia ada data logging, bila data logging ni dia ada connected sekali dengan, kita boleh connectkan kita punya software, application lah. Okay, so daripada situ kita akan downloadkan Gillian Connect Mobile. Okay, okay, and then so kita just tekan in terms of button lah. Okay. Okay, so kat sini dia listed ada satu pump, which is dia bagikan kita serial number dia lah. Kalau kita nak tengok whether it's correct or not, kita boleh referkan ke bahagian bawah of kita punya SMB pump ni is similar to apa yang dia akan list kat sini lah. Kalau contohnya dia ada beberapa kan, ada about 4 or 5, so kita nak identify tu susah. So kita just tekan, kita nak tengok which one is this one, kita blink the device. So nanti dia akan blinking lah. So blinking ni kita boleh identify, ini kalau contohnya for instance kita ada banyak pump lah. So kita nak tahu mana satu yang kita punya, yang kita nak analyze, kita just tekan pada serial number dia, and then kita tekan blink device. So dia akan blink macam tadi lah. And
ada provide apa ni itu ke? Tab ke apa ke?
Oh, tab tak ada. Ni kita boleh download kat mana-mana in terms of Android ataupun iOS lah. So kalau contohnya kita ada phone, mana-mana phone, kita just boleh pergi kat Play Store ataupun App Store, dan kita just download di link connect ni sajalah. So daripada situ kita just boleh pakai, sebab dia in terms of analysis sajalah, kita nak identify whether dia punya ni. So contohnya bila saya select device ni, apa analysis yang kita boleh view. Okay, so daripada sini kita boleh tengok in terms of projected runtime, in terms of battery yang remaining, and then constant flow, manual flow. Dia akan bagi tahu lah apa yang dah set pada unit tu. Okay, so daripada situ bila saya tekan the unit, alright. Okay, contohnya bila saya setkan, bila saya take settings and support, so dari sini kita boleh tukarkan lah in terms of apa temperature ataupun in terms of berapa unit yang kita nak adjust lah. Okay, so saya try and select device. So usually ni dia akan refresh lah kalau contohnya kita run. Nanti dia akan bagi tahu kita current punya measurement berapa, dan reading dia akan keluar lah pada kita punya application ni. So usually ni bila kita dah start and then bila kita dah connect properly, so nanti dia akan tunjuk lah in terms of berapa from the start, kita pukul berapa kita start, and until the end flow rate dia maintain tak 1000 cc per minute. So kalau contohnya in the middle ada fluctuation, dia turun kejap sebab Tygon tubing tersangkut ataupun in terms of ada back pressure. So nanti dia akan mentionkan dalam graph tu, dia akan tunjuk ada fluctuation ke bawah dan dia akan try and push back and dapatkan flow rate yang kita dah set lah. So dia akan try and reset balik for 10 times. For every 3 minutes dia akan stop. Dia akan try to push the pump sampai 1000 cc per minute. So kalau dia tak dapat lagi, dia akan stop jap. So sebab usually when the user dia tak perasan, dia tengok benda tu pump bunyi kadang-kadang kuat, kadang-kadang slow, kadang-kadang kuat, slow. Means that dia tengah try and push balik untuk dapatkan that 1000 cc per minute lah. Sebab in terms of the user, dia tak tahu apa nak kena buat. Dia tekan kan benda tu stop kan. So kita tak dapat the proper sample lah. So daripada kita punya pump ni, dia akan mentionkan, dia akan try dapatkan kita punya flow rate yang kita dah set earlier on sampai dia boleh. Okay.
Kalau dia ada masalah, so dia tak dapat capai, so how many times it takes them?
It's about half an hour lah. Dalam half an hour tu dia akan try 10 times.
Okay, kalau half tak dapat, that means
Dia akan stop lah. Pump tu dia akan stop. Yes, betul.
so that is a problem lah.
Yes, daripada situ.
Kita tak tahu bila dia ada masalah.
Betul. Okay, so kalau contohnya based on application ni, kalau kita tengok, kita boleh tengok in terms of back pressure, so far yang dia dah gone through. And then in terms of flow rate, berapa kita dah set in terms of 1000 to 999 cc per minute. So kita boleh tengok lah, kalau contohnya, saya tutup. So nanti dia akan try to push balik and then dia dah bagi tahu kat sini in terms of fault. Okay, fault ni bermaksudnya dia ada that particular macam contohnya dia dah ada blockage lah in terms of dia punya flow tu. So dia akan try and to dinaikkan, dia rev up dia punya pump and then dia akan turun balik to 1000 lah. So daripada situ means that kalau kita tengok kat sini nanti dia ada menunjukkan fluctuation daripada dia akan turun dan naik lah. So in terms of daripada yang lain, kita boleh tengok in terms of temperature, motion. This is the additional part lah. Selalunya bila kita pasangkan dekat site, kita tak tahu whether the worker is using that while dia working ataupun dia tinggal somewhere. Sebab sometimes kita tak tahu macam mana dia punya work etiquette kan. So kalau contohnya dia rasa uncomfortable, dia tak suka ada pump ni along with them. Kalau dia orang tinggal, kita boleh tahu dia not moving. So kalau dia moving, means that it's active lah. Means it will be green lah. So kalau dia stationary, means that kita tahu dia work in stationary. Means kalau satu tempat dia bergerak sikit-sikit, means it's still in stationary lah. Kalau dia active tu, means that dia moving lah. More steps dia akan naik. So kalau contohnya dia akan bagi kita in terms of graph and juga pie chart lah. So daripada sini kita boleh analyse further in terms of kita punya apa yang dah go through with the pump lah. And then elapsed time, run time. So far dah berapa lama. And then projected run time. Okay, yang macam kita tengokkan kat sini juga. In terms of 8 hours. So sama juga 8 hours juga. So daripada situ they will show you everything what is the pump is showing lah. And then in terms of daripada kita boleh tengok. And then also the additional part is that kita actually boleh stopkan the pump from kita punya unit. Okay, so daripada sini I dah tekankan passcode tu is 0000 saja. So kalau contohnya I nak pause the sample, nanti dia akan suruh, dia akan pause lah. So daripada screen kat sini pun kita boleh tengok continue ataupun stop. It's our selection lah. Kalau contohnya I nak stop the sample, contohnya I continue the sample, and I press stop. Nanti dia akan stop lah. So it's controllable with the application and also you boleh control it physically lah. So daripada situ that is the advanced part lah. And then in terms of kita punya analysis tu kita boleh tengok lah, go through in terms of kita punya the data yang kita dah accumulate. Contohnya kalau tadi I movekan it bit, so dia akan tunjuk kita in terms of dia dah stationary lah. So kalau contohnya dia actively moving, then means that dia ada steps count juga, dan daripada situ dia akan tunjuk green lah from this side. Okay. So that is the general part of kita punya air sampling pump. And then also in terms of kalau nak charging, kita just put it, kita pasangkan AC connector bahagian belakang ni. With the supply cable. And then kita just connect kat sini. And then kita connectkan this wire plug it into the socket, and then kita just plug it in like this. So means that kita punya belting clip ni is actually kita punya slide untuk kita masukkan kepada kita punya docking lah. So once kita hear the click and then dia macam tight kan, so means that dia dah boleh start charging lah. Kalau kita tekan charging pun, kita masukkan pada plug, nanti dia akan blinking green juga, and then dia bagi tahu that the pump is charging lah. So
Charging tu boleh apa ni tu? Boleh on,
boleh sample. Yes, boleh sample.
untuk collect sample.
Untuk collect sample pun boleh. Tapi usually docking ni kita biar dekat kat office ataupun kita nak, bila kita nak balik, tempat kita nak simpan storage kita tu, usually that is the place kita charge lah. So kalau contohnya the SOP, standard operating procedure, is that make sure kita charge lah before kita pergi kat site. So at least benda tu is fully charged and kita tahu only one person is handling the charging lah. So tak ada apa-apa barang yang hilang. So kalau contohnya student nak pinjam pun, in terms of daripada pump sahaja, pump and accessories untuk connectkan kepada filter media lah. So itu daripada situ kita kena identify betul-betul in terms of apa yang dia nak pakai dan apa yang dia perlu untuk bawa ke site. So kita risau nanti bila dia bawa balik ada satu dua benda yang hilang, so and then kita pula akan kena terpaksa replace benda tu.
Yang lain ke ataupun macam mana? Untuk collect apa ni tu?
Untuk accessories dia.
Accessory.
Okay, untuk accessories, untuk sampling media dia semua, kita semua under sama jugalah, under company kita juga. And then in terms of brand dia sama, Gillian. Kalau kita tengok sini ada Gillian, ada Sensodyne, bermaknanya dia under company yang sama actually. Cuma Sensodyne is the main, dia punya brand is Gillian lah. So in terms of daripada situ, accessories and also sampling media semua, kita ada under the same brand lah. Sebab kita punya detector tube ni pun is under Sensodyne. So it's part of industrial hygiene untuk chemical exposure monitoring lah. So daripada situ industrial hygienist dia memang tahulah in terms of equipment ni, accessories apa nak kena pakai. Kalau contohnya is in terms of you nak tahu apa accessory nak pakai, you just bagi tahu me the gas ataupun the things that you want to sample, then I will rujuk NMAM, and then daripada situ dia akan bagi kita types of kita punya sampling media, berapa flow rate. So daripada situ is easy lah to identify, okay, pump ni memang daripada low flow sampai standard flow boleh up until 5,000 cc per minute, iaitu 5 liter per minute lah. So usually to standard flow punya samples kita boleh sampai lah. Sebab selalunya is the last one yang paling tinggi pun is 3,000 liter per minute, 3,000 cc per minute. So ada yang boleh sampai 5 liter tu boleh pakai juga this pump. So in terms of kita nak kena identify accessory apa, so once contohnya filter cassette, then kita tahu kita kena pakai this type of plug and tubing. So kalau contohnya kita dah tahu pakai solvent tube, then kita kena ada this one. Tapi in terms of sometimes kalau kita nak kena tahu solvent tubes, dia ada different sizes juga. So this is the standard size lah, 6x70. So daripada situ kalau contohnya kita ada yang longer one, kita boleh pass you ataupun provide you lah in terms of the correct size of the solvent tube. Tapi basic Tygon tubing is sama. Sama. In terms of the housing saja yang kita nak kena identify apa solvent tube tu punya size. So once kita dah tahu, then kita boleh propose to you lah the correct one. Tapi the standard one is this one. And also usually-nya standard untuk cassette semua pakai yang ni. Sebab connector bahagian atas dia is similar to any cassettes. Dia semua size yang sama. And then in terms of daripada kita punya cyclone pun memang muat lah untuk any type of cassette yang kita akan pakai. Okay. And then in terms of dia punya maintenance, usually-nya kalau you rasa that the pump is kadang-kadang dia dah you set 100, dia susah lambat ataupun lambat nak reach, you boleh buat your own preventive maintenance lah, where kita juga providekan you in terms of kita punya how do you say that, filter lah. So kalau kita nak tengok filter ni dekat bahagian mana at this pump, is dekat bahagian tepi. Okay, so dekat bahagian tepi ni ada 2 screws. So daripada 2 screws ni kita just unscrew and then kita tukar the filter. And then daripada situ kita boleh analyze the pump lah. Kalau contohnya, yes betul. Buka, filter tu kita just masukkan filter ni. O-ring, dia ada o-ring tu kan. O-ring tu jangan lupa letak lah. Yang tukarnya hanyalah dia punya filter ni saja. So daripada filter tu kita pun kalau contohlah pump tu still tak boleh nak achieve, then you can just bagi tahu I will pick up and then send to our lab. Sebab we are authorized distributors, kita authorized to open up this equipment lah. untuk check whether there's a problem, and then kita boleh provide you in terms of the service report apa yang needs to be done. Kalau contohnya if everything is okay, just need a clean up, so we will provide you the service of clean up lah. So usually that is a part of our after sales service lah. Okay. So contohnya kalau nak gunakan this screwdriver, nak tahu kat mana kita nak slotkan kita punya screw ni, is that bahagian tepi ni. Bahagian tepi ada hole bawah ni kan, dekat sebelah filter ni. So kita just slotkan masuk dan kita pusing. So kalau contohnya bila kita pusing, kita nampak dekat bahagian screen ni dia tukar kepada low. So daripada bahagian screen ni, kalau contohnya tadi high kan, so bila saya dah pusing dia tulis low. Means daripada sini kita tahu yang dia dah tukar lah flow rate dia. Kalau contohnya kita daripada 450 and below, dia akan tukar lah. Dia pusing je, dia tak ada limit. Dia tak ada limit. Dia tak boleh macam tiba-tiba sangkut, itu kita try pusing, tak ada. Kita boleh pusing sampai dia. Kita just pusing je. Kita reverse boleh, ke depan boleh, dia tak kisah. Asalkan benda tu berubah. Kalau kita pusing pun tak ada masalah lah. Tukar pada low ataupun high saja. Yes, betul. Kita hands on. Yes, betul. Saya tengok nanti dah habis training, screw ni untuk apa? Okay, kalau nak check kita just tekan ni untuk bagi dia light up screen. Okay, kalau nak tukar balik high kita just masukkan balik screw ni dia punya answer key ni, dan kita turnkan sampai dia high balik. So once dia dah high, dia buka error lah. Kalau error means that kita tak habis pusing, dia in between. So kita just pusing sampai dia click, and then dia tunjuk high, dah consider dia dah betul lah flow rate tu, tak ada masalah. So kita just nak kena tahu kalau contohnya flow rate bawah daripada 450 cc, kalau sini 450 ke bawah, then kita kena tukar kepada low lah.
Maksudnya yang kita setting apa ni tu 1000 ni, flow rate ni, dia akan capai pada 1000, lepas tu dia maintain. Sebab penggunaan SMM pump ni ialah kita akan pasangkan filter media depending on NMAM tu, and then kita setkan flow rate based on NMAM tu. So once kita dah set 100, memang dia sampai habis kita monitor dia kena maintain 100. Itu sebab yang advance pun dia akan 1000 lah. Waktu habis pun mesti kena 1000. Itu yang daripada application ni kita boleh tengok whether dia maintain 1000 daripada awal sampai habis ataupun tak. Itulah advantage dia kat situ. Kalau in terms of ada yang data logging punya dan analysis, kita boleh buat analysis lah daripada situ. So kita boleh tahu in terms of berapa banyak kali dia fault, kita boleh tahu, and then in terms of kalau dia stop in the middle, then kita boleh tahu juga. So kalau contohnya kita go around within the site pun, kita just boleh klik on kita punya connector ni, okay, kita tengok so far flow rate dia okay ke tak. Kalau contohnya kita tengok semua merah tapi kita nampak worker tu berjalan-jalan waktu kita jumpa dia kan, means that you tinggalkan unit pump yang tadi. So you tahulah in terms of daripada site tu, you boleh analyse sendiri in terms of yang dah berlaku lah so far. So itu ialah additional lah in terms of kita punya alat ni yang kita boleh provide kan lah. Okay, ni saya nak minta apa ni tu, Cik Semakna ni. Betul-betul atas kamera, depan kira, daripada mula tadi tu kita setting mana yang tu nampak lah.
Untuk perubahan lah. Contohnya kalau bila saya sidekan. Okay.
Dekatkan kamera lah.
Sabar, saya dekat. Saya bangun. Okay. So daripada sini kalau kita nak setkan flow rate, this is the main screen lah. Dia tunjukkan kita last sampling yang kita ambil. So kalau contohnya kita nak check balik in terms of setting kita, just tekan, kita tekan enter.
Kita 1000 kan? Kita
yes.
set pada apa ni tu
2000 lah.
2000.
Okay, kita setkan kepada 2000. Okay, so currently saya dah tukarkan arrow ni ke bawah. Okay, so daripada situ kita boleh setkan in terms of, okay, ni macam kena buat macam makeup ni. Okay, so kita just tekan tambah. Okay, kita just tunggu sampai dia reach 2000. Okay. So contohnya dah sampai, okay. Dah sampai 2000. Okay, so daripada situ dia still ada arrow dekat bahagian tepi ni. So kita just tekan enter. So dia dah fix lah kepada 2000. And then ensurekan yang kat bahagian bawah ni ialah high. Kalau dia lebih daripada 450 cc per minute, then kita kena make sure ke high lah. Okay. So daripada situ kalau kita dah setkan semua appropriately in terms of high and also kita punya flow rate, just scroll ke atas ke bahagian run and then kita just boleh start lah. Okay, so dia akan bagi tahu kita indicator a few things lah in terms of battery low and then in terms of kita punya connected media ataupun tak. Okay, so daripada sini kita tak connectkan kepada apa-apa media, it's just kita dah startkan run. Okay, so dia akan take a few seconds untuk dia reachkan 2000 cc per minute. Once dia dah reach 2000 cc per minute and stabilize, dia akan keluar blinking green lah, dia punya LED. Okay, so daripada sini unit ni pun boleh identify in terms of kita punya media connected or not. So usually-nya kalau kita tak connect media properly ataupun kita just connectkan kepada Taiwan tubing, dia akan tahulah in terms of tak ada apa-apa too much back pressure. So that's why that's meaning that kita tak connectkan kepada media lah. Okay. So itu standard daripada kita nak masa kita nak start lah. So usually-nya kalau kita nak stop, kita just tekan enter button yang sama. So kita boleh ada option pause ataupun stop. So kalau kita nak pause, kita just tekan pause. And kita boleh continue balik with the same flow rate ataupun setting lah. And then based on runtime tu dia akan continue daripada kita start tadi lah. Okay, contohnya kalau kita nak stop, kita just scroll ke bawah, tekan stop. Okay, so dia akan bagi kita in terms of summary yang kita dah last kita buat berapa, runtime kita berapa, and then data logging events yang kita dah accumulate berapa lah. Contohnya macam tadi yang saya dah tunjukkan in terms of apps tu, dia akan bagi tahu kita in terms of further lah apa yang kita dah go through tadi.
Daripada apps seperti itu dapat dia punya tadi, dia punya times tu berapa, lepas tu apa dia collect. So,
yes, selama kita collect ni yang 2000 cc per minute ni constant ataupun tak, ada fluctuation ataupun tak. So daripada situ kita boleh analyse further lah, tengok in terms of kita punya sampling setakat ni, okay ke tak flow rate dia, maintain ataupun tak lah.
Dalam ni kita tak boleh tengok, kita tengok data yang
dalam ni kita tak boleh nak analyse sebab dia bagi in terms of just general, and then analysis dia is based on kita punya application dekat through kita punya phone ni lah, software kita punya application, sorry. So daripada sini kita just boleh scroll through lah. Kalau contohnya lah in terms of berapa step saya dah berjalan tadi, dia boleh detect, and then in terms of motion, pergerakan of kita punya unit. So if there's motion, dia considered stationary. Kalau there's no motion, no steps, means that dia is not moving lah. So dia akan dalam graph tadi tu, pie chart tu dia akan keluar merah lah. Okay.
Macam tadi kita dah buat 2 kali kan. Yang pertama tadi tu kita dah stop, kita buat yang second ni.
Yes.
Kita boleh tengok lagi ke kat situ?
In terms of daripada data daripada
dia.
situ, kita boleh just go through kita punya setting lah. Dekat bahagian setting kita just boleh tekan enter for this one, nak escapekan daripada dia punya ni. Kita boleh go dekat bahagian review. Kita pergi tekan bahagian review. So far ada 3 lah. Means that ada yang pernah buat kot before this. Okay, so bila kita tekan enter kepada review, then kita boleh tengok in terms of berapa yang kita data yang kita dah ambil tadi. Contohnya event 1, dia tunjuk kita in terms of berapa runtime and berapa kita punya flow rate yang kita dah set lah. Okay, so kalau contohnya kita select untuk events, kita nak tukarkan kepada event lain. Okay, so dalam sini pun kita dah boleh select which event yang kita nak delete lah. Okay, so kalau contohnya,
Kalau nak delete, kalau kita nak buka, tengok tadi tu.
okay, nak tengok tadi tu, macam tadilah saya dah go through daripada setting ni, kita select kat bahagian review. Okay, kita dah select kat bahagian review. Okay, so daripada sini event 1. So ini yang tadi kita buat lah, 2000 cc per minute tadi tu. Okay, so kalau contohnya kita nak go through, kita just tekan tambah. So dia akan keluar kepada event 2 yang tadi tu, 1000 cc per minute. So kita boleh scroll lah ke bawah in terms of apa dia punya general runtime berapa, and then in terms of kita punya pre and post kita punya calibration, and then in terms of motion. So dia akan bagilah segala yang kita boleh ambil in terms of general saja. So daripada situ kita boleh analyse and then tengok in terms of last kita buat apa, and then pump ni digunakan macam mana. So kalau kita nak scroll through and the last one, so kita tengok in terms of 1000 cc per minute, and then dia akan bagi in terms of date and time jugalah. So daripada situ kita tahu in terms of berapa kita dah runtime kita, and then in terms of kalau kita nak betul-betul tengok in terms of berapa flow rate dia, maintain ke apa, kita boleh go through the apps lah. Daripada situ dia akan bagi in terms of 3 reviews juga, and then daripada situ kita boleh tengok in terms of macam mana runtime of total 3 lah. Okay. Okay, so kalau nak
Tak nak cakap terus terang. Tak apa, boleh call saya. Kalau sebelum start lab ke bagi tahu Isman ni macam mana? Nanti insya-Allah lah saya boleh tolong. Yes, betul. Sebab kita dah go through training. So kalau macam contohnya macam perlu cepat kan, nak buka slide pun lambat. So nanti kita boleh tanyalah saya directly. Itulah nanti saya nak kena buat SOP lagi. Video dia lagi. Yes, betul. In terms of PDF lah, senang. Itu lagi senang. Student scan and then dia boleh tengok, baca dulu and then dia boleh dapat unit, dia boleh tengok terus lah. Yes. Perlukan ada SOP. So kita tahu macam mana nak analysekan yang kita punya alat tu penggunaannya untuk apa. Okay, so daripada situ kita nak off kan, ialah simple saja. Kita just long press dia punya enter button. So dia akan tunjuk countdown lah dekat situ. Daripada 5 seconds, habis 5 seconds, dia akan tambah lagi 2 second and then dia akan off. So once screen dia dah gelap, bermaknanya dia dah tutup lah, dah tutup habis. So kiranya is in terms of kenapa dia sampai 7 seconds tu, is nak ensure betul-betul kita nak tutup unit tu. So sometimes bila contohnya orang tekan, dia tengok dia tutup sampai habis 5 tu, dia macam biar. So dia actually ada 2 additional seconds tu untuk ensure kan betul-betul kita nak confirm tutup lah. So daripada situ kalau kita tahu peralatan ni macam mana, dan kita tahu after 7 seconds baru dia completely off. Kalau kita lepaskan the button before 7 seconds, dia akan still on lah. Dia akan go back to the main page and then so kita still kena tekan balik lah. So dari situ is macam tu lah. Maksudnya?
It's not complete 5 minutes kan.
Aha.
Dia tak complete. Bila kita tekan up and down, dia akan keluar.
Kalau kita release the button, release the on off button tu, means that dia akan go back to the main screen lah. So kalau contohnya kita tekan sampai habis 7 seconds, baru dia akan completely off. Yes. Tapi usually kalau you press up and down, tengok kalau dia ada flash keluar dia punya reading, dan okey lah. Kalau you tak tekan up and down pun still akan ada tulis bacaan dekat sini. Sebab sometimes dia nak jimatkan bateri, compared to sebab pump pun dah pakai bateri, and then in terms of dia punya digital parts lagi, so in terms of nak jimat bateri, dia ada macam rest mode lah. Kalau kita tak, macam phone kita biar idle, tak perasan, betul, yes. Kita tak ada auto off. So daripada situ kita kena ensure lah, sebab kalau contohnya auto off pun, nanti in terms of kalau kita kat site, kita takut that happens. Sebab kalau contohnya orang tu pakai dekat site, dia cabut, macam contohnya dia tekan stop, dia manage to stop the pump. So kita tahulah benda tu is not running sebab dia akan ada blinking LED lah kat situ. So kalau contohnya kita dah tahu in terms of dia punya application daripada situ, kita boleh pakai lah. Mana yang kita rasa kita perlu dan kita boleh implement lah in terms of pemakaian dia. Okay. Simpan saja. Simpan. Okay. So this is the cover of kita punya air sampling pump lah. So in terms of daripada factory, dia akan bagi juga in terms of Sensodyne certificate of performance. So means that before dihantarkan kepada kita, dia dah buat performance check lah in terms of the pump. So daripada situ certificate ni dia tak perlu renew, kita tak perlu ada yearly annual calibration, tak perlu. It's just in terms of daripada factory mentioning that this unit is performance dia okay before leaving the factory lah. Tak perlu calibration. The only thing that needs calibration is the airflow calibrator. Yang airflow calibrator yang sampai tu, dia punya flow cell tu needs to be sent annually lah. So that part tu, itu sahaja yang nak kena send. So air sampling pump ni, once you purchase, you don't need to send it for calibration. It's just in terms of your own servicing, ataupun you nak hantar kita untuk service and maintenance pun tak ada masalah. So kalau usually-nya kita nak identify kita perlu service atau tak, bila kita tengok dia susah nak reach dia punya targeted flow rate yang kita dah set. So kalau once dia dah susah nak reach and then bunyi pump dia pun macam semput,
Then you boleh try and change the filter dulu. Kalau you nak terus hantarkan kepada kita pun, kita boleh do everything lah. Kita akan tukar filter, kita akan clean up the inside, dan kita akan bagi you in terms of service report lah, macam mana peralatan tu function. Yes, you can send. Ataupun you nak I datang and check dulu before you hantar pun, takut ada you to miss out ke, boleh, tak ada masalah. Yes, tapi usually lama lah. It depends on cara you penggunaan. So kalau you penggunaan okay, filter dia tak ada apa-apa, any sample yang masuk dalam, and should be okay lah. Filter tu is just to block from all the things that you sample masuk ke dalam pump dia, akan rosakkan dia, to protect the pump. Yes, correct. Okay. Okay, so kita akan go through our next slides and training in terms of Crocon T4, which is a gas detector. So daripada sini kita boleh go through lah in terms of physical and also internal parts of kita punya unit ni. So daripada sini kita rasanya boleh nampak in terms of kita punya navigation of instruction. So daripada sini kita boleh tengok in terms of to click on the, okay, macam jauh sikit lah. Okay, daripada situ, kalau kita tengok sini, click on the button and display the contents page. Kalau saya rasa saya berdiri kat depan, okay kot. Ataupun saya duduk kat PC lah. So tak ada masalah. Tak apa. It's okay. Saya boleh bacakan. Okay, so kalau kita tengok daripada sini is that the first line ni ialah mentioning kan in terms of contents. So kita boleh click on this button to display the contents of the page lah. So macam tadi kita dah go through sikit of kita punya alat tu. Nanti kita akan tengok in terms of mana kita nak display the contents page lah. Okay, and then in terms of left, to click on this button to display the previous page. Click on this button to display the next page. So nanti kita akan tengokkan kat mana display ni akan keluar. And then kita boleh click on properly lah. So in terms of to click this button to print some of our documents. So daripada sini I think is navigation instructions je, kita akan go through. Once kita dah identify kat mana all of these labels come from lah. Okay. So next is in terms of kita punya charging communication. Okay. Kalau T4 ni is rechargeable battery and must only be charged in non-hazardous areas. Only connect the T4 in safe area charging communication. T4 must not be charged or have communication to the device at ambient temperature outside of dia punya range lah. Itu kalau lebih daripada 40 degrees Celsius, then kita need to charge somewhere yang more appropriate lah. Okay. And then T4 has certified and marked up of of 9.1 volts. Therefore, charging T4 via the T4 charger. Cradle use only Crocon supplied AC adapter lah. So means that kat sini apa yang dia bagi tahu ialah kita kena pakai dia punya adapter charger yang dia berikan lah. Itu yang kita dah supplykan sekali lah. Okay. So 10-way charger Crocon use only supply AC adapter. Otherwise this may impair the intrinsic safety and invalid safety certification lah. So kalau contohnya kita pakai charger yang lain, dia akan effectkan peralatan tu punya intrinsic safe. Where usually intrinsic safe ni is used in oil and gas industry lah. So that is important kalau contohnya kita nak masuk oil and gas industry, kita usually equipment kita perlu ada intrinsic safe. So usually kalau sound level meter, kalau kita punya peralatan yang kita bawa, so mesti kena ada intrinsic safe for oil and gas industry. And then this gas detector is widely used in oil and gas industries as to ensure safety kita punya workers lah. Okay. So kalau kita tengok kat sini in terms of kita punya standard configuration settings. Okay. So from here is kalau kita with H2S punya sensor, kita ada low alarm of 5 ppm, rising alarm, latch and high alarm of 10 ppm, rising alarm, STEL of 10 ppm and TWF of 5 ppm lah. And then in terms of kita punya carbon monoxide, is low alarm is considered 30 ppm, high alarm is 100 ppm, STEL is 100 also, and TWA is 30 ppm. Okay, so in terms of kita punya O2, is low alarm is about 19% volume, Dia punya high alarm is 23.5% volume lah. Okay, in terms of LEL is 20%, and also in terms of LEL tu usually is CH4. High alarm is 40% LEL CH4. All T4s are shipped have been calibrated with 2.2% volume of CH4 lah. So in terms of these are the 4 sensors yang ada pada unit kita, and then in terms of kita punya alarm types yang dia ada set lah for in terms of low, high, and STL and also TWA. Okay, so kalau kita tengok in terms of physical orientation. Okay, so from here kita boleh tengok in terms of kita punya number 1 is our D ring, okay, which is at the back of the unit. And then in terms of 2 visual and audible alarms, kalau kita tengok kat bahagian depan, kita boleh tengok dia ada 4 sections untuk dia punya visual and audible alarms. And then in terms of kita number 3 at the top here is positive safety indicator, okay. And then number 4 is the sounder. 5 is the operator button. 6 is the LCD display. 7 is dia punya sensor apertures, okay, which is considered 4 lah sebab kita ada 4 gas sensors kat sini. And then in terms of 8 is the alligator clip where we use to clip to our uniform. And number 9 is the certification label. And then the serial number and number 10 kat bahagian belakang lah. So this is the physical attributes of kita punya unit of Kokon T4 lah. So daripada situ kalau contohnya kita nak tahu audible alarms and visual alarms dekat bahagian mana, so usually dia akan keluar dekat bahagian tepi on the sides here lah. So it's quite easy to see lah from afar. Kalau contohnya at the work site you have a buddy system where someone is working with proper PPE and complete PPE. Sometimes they are unaware of dia punya audible alarm. So daripada situ, visually your body can identify whether it's within alarm ataupun dah lebih lah. So daripada situ, kita use a buddy system to aid lah in terms of safety of kita punya workers. Okay, next is in terms of kita punya charging LED status. So kalau kita tengok dekat bahagian atas kita punya Kokon T4, kalau contohnya is charging, then it will blinking red and green lah. So daripada situ status dia bermaksudkan in terms of number 1 is still charging and number 2 is considered fully charged lah. So kalau kita use that correct docking, tak ada masalah, dia akan charge, and then while it's charging it will be blinking red, and once it's completed it will be blinking green lah. So daripada situ is easy to identify. Okay, so daripada sini untuk kita daripada sini kita tengok in terms of T4 battery icon contains a maximum of 3 segments and will indicate charging by synchronously filling the battery segments and repeating this process. When fully charged, all 3 segments will be displayed as per picture number 1. When T4 is powered up and placed in a charger, the battery icon will indicate charging status, but the positive LED will indicate positive status, not charging status. Okay, if T4 is switched on while charging, after approximately 30 minutes of being charged, T4 will automatically power down and continue charging, showing that the battery icon in the bottom right of the screen. Okay, so T4 is not charging. The battery icon segments indicate that the battery's state of charge. These are shown in T4, is not placed in a charger lah. So kita daripada sini is just a description of kita punya in terms of apa battery status yang keluar. So kita boleh identify in terms of its charging or not lah. So when fully charged, all 3 segments are shown as picture 1. The battery typically has a maximum of 18 hours on time. When T4 charges from 3 to 2 segments, the battery typically has a maximum of 12 hours runtime. So kalau fully charged is 18. Kalau contoh in picture number 2, it will be 12 hours. And when T4 charges from 2 segments to 1, the battery typically has a maximum of 8 hours runtime. So when the battery icon is flashing with no segments, the battery typically has a maximum of 30 minutes before dia betul-betul depleted lah. So kalau means that dia dah kosong, then they're also showing this type of symbol, means that dia ada 30 minutes lah. Kalau tak boleh on tu, maknanya dah fully depleted lah. So kalau this one is 8 hours, 12 hours and also 18 hours lah. So kalau fully charged, it boleh up until 18 hours. Okay, as mentioned before, is positive safety. Okay, in terms of positive safety, is a quick and easy indication of the operating status of T4. This status is indicated by a front-mounted LED. When the positive safety LED is illuminated green, this indicates that the unit is functioning as required and no further action is necessary, such as bump test or calibration lah. So kalau contohnya if it's not blinking green while you are not charging, then meaning that it requires a bump test ataupun is due for calibration lah. Okay, this enable users and supervisors to easily see that the employee is safe and following the work procedures, because usually when workers gunakan peralatannya gas detector within the work site at oil and gas industries, so it's usually a requirement for day-to-day job lah, where you require this equipment to be used inside. So kalau contohnya sometimes kita miss look of kita punya in terms of the calibration or bump testing, so dia akan indicate kat situ, bagi tahu kat kita is due for bump test or calibration lah. Okay, when the positive safety LED is illuminated red, this indicates that one of the following situations has occurred and will require action, which is battery is critically low, bump test is required, calibration is due, and T4 is in gas alarm. Okay, so if T4 is in gas alarm, this would be high or low gas alarm, or STL or TWA. T4 display will indicate which alarm type has been activated by the relevant icon being displayed on the screen. T4 fault. T4 must be reviewed by trained personnel for repair as T4 has detected an internal fault. So kalau contohnya if it's blinking red, then you have to go through the apa orang cakap tu is the possible outcomes lah of the red indicator. So daripada situ kita boleh identify, contohnya if it's fully charged, then it's not this one. If its calibration is still within period, and it's most likely not this one. Kalau contohnya is the last part is in between these two lah, is in terms of gas alarm, and also is whether it's in fault or not lah. Okay, from here we can see in terms of the screen displays that will come out from the Crocon T4, which is the screen will display quick view screen, which is display quick view. The screen then displays T4 serial number. So when you start up dia punya unit, nanti dia akan keluar all these macam from the beginning lah. After you start the unit, then nanti dia akan keluar all these type of details, quick view, serial number, and then in terms of firmware version, and then the type of user kalau kita dah setkan in terms of who is the user. The screen displays the sensor configured at lower alarm levels. The screen displays the sensor configured at upper alarm levels. Okay, so these are the type of screens yang dia akan display. Okay, and then next is in terms of operation. Before turning on the T4, ensure it is clean air, means that you are outside and away from any plant process or suspected gas locations lah. This will allow T4 to be zeroed using clean air as the base point. If T4 is zeroed in a contaminated air, a false gas reading can result or zero could fail. So kalau contohnya once you realize that you turn on the equipment within not in a clean air, then you have to do a zeroing, manual zeroing lah, which you can select within the punya settings. Then you can do manual zero to identify whether it's clean air lah, zeroing in clean air. So turning on. T4 will not respond to gas until the startup sequence is complete. In clean air, turn on T4 by holding down the operator button for 3 audible short blips, followed by 1 longer tone. T4 will warm up and go through a series of automatic process as follows. Firstly, a test screen will be displayed showing all possible LED segments and icons lah. So dia akan tunjukkan macam ni. So in terms of all the available LEDs and icons should be visibly seen. Okay, and then if T4 is switched on within 8 hours of being switched off, the following screen will display for 10 seconds, allowing the T4 to retain the TWA, STL and peak readings. So kalau contohnya if the T4 is already switched on for 8 hours and not being switched off, then the screen will display 10 seconds to allowing the T4 to retain lah. Simply press the operator button to retain, or do not click the operator button and allow to count down to expire. So it means that for after 8 hours, dia akan start up a new TWA and STL punya peak readings lah. Okay, so in terms of home screen, after a successful startup sequence, the screen will display the home screen as shown below as number 1. And if the configured positive safety LED will be illuminated green, indicating that T4 is operating correctly. The image shown in the home screen of T4 fitted with 4 sensors. The same screen is also shown home screen flip mode. So kalau contohnya kita boleh, it's either flip mode ataupun still in the mode that is required lah. Sebab usually flip mode ni is when you attach to the worker, they can see from their eyes. So dia kena angkat the unit. So daripada situ dia boleh buat flip mode where they can view as per dia punya person yang pakai lah wearing the unit. Okay. So type of displays within dia punya screen is that number 1 is kita punya gas type and unit, which we can see. And then in terms of number 2 is gas levels for each of kita punya gas. Home screen symbols, which is number 3 here. And battery level indicator. So this is the main screen lah. So usually once kita dah start and hello. Okay. So daripada situ kita boleh tengok in terms of home screen and also dia punya gas type and units, gas levels, home screen symbol and battery level indicator. So display screen after a successful startup, it will display as per picture lah. Okay, in terms of alarms, T4 has the following types of alarms, which is low battery, instantaneous, time-weighted average, and short-term exposure, which is the STEL. Kalau low battery alarm, T4 will indicate a low battery when the battery has a maximum of 30 minutes remaining life, like I explained just now. Okay, this warning should be acknowledged immediately by pressing the operator button. Okay, the sounder will then emit an audible double bleep every 5 seconds. And display will flash battery empty icon. So dia akan bagi tahu kita memang dia akan habis battery within 30 minutes. So it's either kita accept by pressing the operator button or kita just leave it until it's off lah. In addition, if configured to do so, the positive safety LED will change state and illuminate red. When the low battery alarm is displayed, the operator should finish their current activity and move to a safe area before the 30 minutes battery life expires. So daripada sini is to the safety of the worker, to ensure that the safety, sebab the gas detector is running out of battery. So you ensure within 30 minutes to evacuate the area and be in a safe place lah. So once you dah charge ataupun dah ganti to a new one, then you boleh masuk balik site with the fully charged battery. Okay, regarding instantaneous alarm, T4 will go into alarm immediately if the level of any gas configured to be detected exceeds the acceptable limits. A minimum and maximum level is set for oxygen, while the remaining gases will cause an alarm for rising gas levels. So meaning that it does not just give you when it exceeds the level, when dia ada juga rising alarm, means that it's rising towards the permissible limit or exceed the limit or the limit that has been set, then dia akan juga bagi that type of rising alarm lah. So T4 will indicate an alarm state 1 or alarm state 2, according to which configured gas level has been exceeded. When T4 is in instantaneous alarm, the appropriate bell alarm sound symbol 1 or 2 will flash repeatedly on the screen to indicate which level of alarm has been triggered. The gas type and unit icon will flash to indicate which gas has been triggered. So daripada situ kita boleh identify in terms of symbol, and then also dia akan bagi in terms of the gas type and unit icon will flash lah on which gas yang currently exceed the limit. Okay, the sounder will emit a tone, alarm LEDs will flash red and blue, and the T4 will vibrate. So daripada situ there's a visual, audible alarm, and also in terms of vibration lah. If positive safety is configured, the positive safety LED will also be illuminated red. The LED will return to green when the instantaneous alarm is cleared. So usually it's already been set. So it's either kita boleh see through kita punya visual alarm, kita audible alarm, and then also kita punya in terms of visual tu kita boleh tengok based on the screen which gas yang dah exceed the limit. Okay, to understand the short-term exposure limit, which is STL, for each toxic gas being monitored, T4 stores information about the gas levels detected to determine the average exposure over a 15-minute running period. So after 15 minutes, dia akan bagi kita in terms of STL lah. If the average levels detected over the defined period of time exceed the predetermined levels, T4 will go into alarm. STL is not monitored for the duration of a band test or calibration lah. Okay, the STL alarm level can be configured via Portables Pro. In the alarm state, the STL symbol on the screen will flash this one lah. So kalau kita go through kita punya main screen punya symbols tu, this is mentioning that this is the STL symbol alarm lah. Okay, will flash indicating that the STEL levels have been exceeded. The sounder will emit a tone, alarm LEDs will flash red and blue, and the T4 will vibrate. Okay, so this is currently if the positive safety is configured, LED will also be emitted red, the LED will return to green lah, same as before, as kita punya instantaneous alarm lah. Okay, this is for our TWA, which is the time-weighted average alarm. For each toxic gas being monitored, T4 stores information about the gas levels to detect and determine the average exposure over an 8-hour running period. If the average levels detected over the defined period of exceed predetermined levels, T4 will go into alarm, and TWA is not monitored, duration of bump test and calibration, same as STL. The TWA alarm can be configured. In the alarm state, TWA will symbol screen like a pie chart, where differently kalau macam STL tadi is different, just one section, while this TWA will show 3/4 lah. Will flash indicating that TWA levels has been exceeded. The sounder will emit a tone, and alarm LED will flash red and blue lah. And also will vibrate. So tadi flashing red, so red and blue also, this is with red and blue with an additional symbol. So kita differentiate between STL for 15 to 30 minutes punya intervals. So kalau for 8 hour punya interval, then kita akan see this type kalau dia dah exceed the time weighted average alarm. Okay, so for TWA resume function, the TWA allows TWA, STL and peak readings to be retained after T4 has been switched off for a period of time. For example, while an operator travels to a new location, this prevents the recent toxic exposure history from being lost and associated risk of the operator exceeding safe exposure levels, because it is not that how much that we can take for 8 hours punya time. So in terms of once we continue to other site, it will also calculate that as additional lah. If T4 is switched off for less than 15 minutes and the TWA resume function is selected, T4 will retain SDL, TWA and peak gas values when powered back on. If T4 is switched off for more than 15 minutes but less than 8 hours, the TWA resume function is selected. T4 will retain and TWA peak gas values powered back on, still will STL, but the STL values will be cleared lah because it's more than 15 minutes. Okay, if T4 is switched off for more than 8 hours, TWA resume function will not be available in the startup sequence, and T4 will clear TWA, STL, and peak gas values also when powered back on. So it depends on how long kita tutup, so kita boleh move to the next location without removing the TWA lah. So TWAs is important to allocate, kita nak identify within 8 hours of kita punya work time dalam site, whether kita dah lebih daripada dia punya levels yang kita boleh accept ataupun below. So once dah lebih this level, TWA dah rise, alarm dia dah keluar, so kita have to evacuate to the safe area lah, meaning that kita punya self-own exposure tu dah exceed the level per day lah. Okay, so this is an example of kalau contohnya TWA resume function, okay, activated during a startup sequence. Once kita dah stop and then more than 15 minutes ataupun less than 15 minutes but less than 8 hours, so we can continue just by pressing resume on the operator button, and then the T4 now is used by operator. Resume function is not required to do click operator button and allow countdown to expire. This will reset the TWA, STL and peak values back to 0 lah. Okay. Okay, so based on these icons, these are the alarms and status icons. So kalau okay means that the status okay, does not require any action to the gas detector. Okay, kalau fault status, dia akan keluar this type of symbol. Long-term exposure alarm, which is the TWA, dia akan show this symbol. And this symbol will show short-term exposure alarm. Alarm number 1 means that the first alarm, low alarm, and this is the second one is currently high alarm lah. And then it will blink and then show which type of gas yang exceed alarm. Okay, so when there's an alarm, cara kita nak accept ataupun clear the alarm is the operation of alarms in terms of how they are cleared is dependent upon the alarm type and also configuration option which can be changed lah. These options are latch and non-latching, and the functional is described in the table below. Alarm 2 cannot be configured and behaves as a latch alarm. As you can see, if the configuration setting for instantaneous alarm 1, only for alarm 1, latch and instantaneous alarm 1 can be cancelled by pressing the operator button, but only when the gas level has dropped to the below alarm level. So meaning that kalau kita dah exceed for alarm 1, once kita go out to a safe place, then baru once the gas alarm level has dropped, then we can use the operator button to cancel out the alarm lah. If not, it will keep on sounding for you to ensure that you change to a safe place lah, to avoid the exposure levels. Okay, for latch and alarm 2 and instantaneous alarm 2 can be cancelled by pressing the operator button, but only when the gas levels has dropped. Sama juga as in terms of latch for alarm 1. Non-latching and instantaneous alarm 1 will not be latched and will return to non-alarm state without user acceptance once the gas levels has been dropped. So it's either kita set for latch ataupun non-latching, where dia punya two of the options are, if latch, then we need to use the operator button to cancel out the alarm once kita dah drop below level, or non-latching, it will automatically disable the alarm lah once kita dah drop based on gas levels. While in alarm, T4 will continue to record levels as of all the gases being monitored. Okay, in terms of menu icons that we can select based on the home screen, this is the home. To return to home page, information displays unit status configurations. 0 performs a sensor 0. This is usually if you want to do a manual 0. Okay, peak mode displays peak gas reading. So this is actually, it's not measure lah. So this is considered kalau kita nak view the peak mode so far of kita punya TW ataupun STL, then kita boleh view from kita punya peak mode. So B is for bump test, C is for calibration. So usually for calibration, this is lab. This is for lab use lah. So this option is kalau boleh don't choose this option. For STL, displays the current STL value, means that after 15 to 30 minutes, they can show the STL value. For this symbol, it will show the TWA, displays the current TWA value within the 8 hours that you have been using the unit lah. Okay. In order to identify how to access the menus with the home screen displayed, double-click the operator button 1 to access the menu functions, as I did lah. Kalau kita klikkan 2 kali operator button, 2 times, and then it will show this type of display, and then kita boleh choose selection of kita punya symbols as of before lah. Single-click the operator button repeatedly to scroll right until the required menu is displayed lah. Contohnya kalau kita nak go for zeroing, kita click about 2 times until kita reach to 0 punya symbol. Then kita click the operator button, double click the operator button to select the function. So kita double click untuk pergi ke bahagian menu. Kita click sampai kita dah choose which symbol yang kita nak. And then kita double click untuk select mana satu. So itulah caranya. As a safety feature, if gas is detected while in the menu, T4 will revert back to the home screen to ensure that the gas readings are displayed. This will not occur if T4 is in a bump test mode or calibration mode lah. So means that kalau contohnya kita pada site dan kita tengah scroll through dia punya settings ataupun home screen ataupun menu, then nanti T4 tu once dia detect ada gas yang detected, so dia akan go back to the home menu supaya kita aware of the current reading lah. So usually kalau kita nak handle the equipment, make sure we are in a safe environment without any gas leaks lah. Okay, in terms of home screen, when icon home screen is selected, the home screen will display, okay, the information screen. Kalau kita select information screen, dia akan display in terms of kita punya serial number. Single click the operator button repeatedly to scroll right until the icon menu. Okay, the screen will display the same sequence screen as quick view is selected. Okay, in addition to the information screen, will also display any identified fault. If this fault will be indicated by a warning icon lah in the home screen. So warning icon ni akan keluar jugalah once kita dah select in terms of information. Accessing the information screen will provide further details of the fault yang dah required lah. Okay, so kalau kita selectkan kepada simbol Z ni, dia akan buat manual 0. Okay, make sure that when you do manual 0 is in the clean ambient air lah, ataupun clean air. The manual 0 function allows T4 to be zeroed at any time. With the home screen displayed, kita boleh select the symbol Z, and then zero countdown screen will be displayed lah, means that 5 seconds. To perform a manual 0, press the operator button to let the countdown start and until it finishes lah. If the operator button is pressed before the countdown is complete, T4 will not perform a manual 0 and will be automatically turned to home. A successful 0 of a channel will display a tick on the screen as we see. Nah, kalau kita selectkan kepada zeroing, then kita dah tekan operator button tu untuk dia allow 0 for 5 seconds. Once dia dah succeed, dia akan tick for every gas sensors yang dia dah done zeroing tu lah. So means that kalau contohnya bila kita nak masuk site, make sure kita zero dia clean air. Then once kita dah tahu zeroing to complete, then okay atau tak, dia akan showkan kita tick macam ni lah. Okay. Untuk zero ini usually-nya kalau contohnya kita dah bila kita nak startkan equipment tu, dia kena zero untuk dia clearkan sensors yang kat dalam tu from any gas ataupun sediments yang sangkut pada sensors tu lah. So means that bila kita masuk site, reading dia akan accurate. Dia macam calibration lah, as if calibration. Kita dah done calibration dekat laboratory, calibration certificate masih valid, tapi cuma kita nak ensurekan reading dia tu dah clear dulu. Dia dah bersihkan sensor tu, kira macam dia blastkan sensor tu dululah. Dia bersihkan sensor tu means that dia buat zeroing lah. Kalau contohnya kita pakai gas analyzer, dia akan buat manual air zero in ambient air, where dia suck the ambient air kat luar, dia akan purgekan kita punya sensors tu, bagi dia kosong balik lah, reading dia as per dia punya specifications. So means kalau contohnya kita tak buat zeroing properly, so dia akan start baseline dia dengan dah ada that reading. Contohnya lah, kalau kita buat zeroing pada site yang ada CO2 level dah ada 10 ppm, so dia akan detect, dia dah buat zeroing tapi dalam condition ada 10 ppm of CO. So once kita masuk site, dia akan start dengan 10 ppm lah, bukan dengan kosong. So maksudnya dia akan zeroing dia ialah start pada 10 lah. So bila dia makin naik, makin tinggi, kita tak perasan sebab kita dah buat zeroing pada 10 ppm punya concentration. So once kalau kita buat zeroing pada kosong concentration, maknanya dia akan start daripada kosong lah. So itu nak ensure kita punya pemakaian alat kita tu fully zeroed. That's why dia nasihatkan kita supaya kita zeroing pada clean air lah, supaya dia start daripada dia punya kosong 1, 2, 3 tu is memang exactly 0, 1, 2, 3. Tapi usually-nya that is the once kita kat site lah. Tapi to ensure, make sure kita yearly calibrate, annually calibrate, so kita tahu that memang dia punya sensors tu tak ada apa-apa fluctuation lah. Okay. Okay, so ada juga options dalam kita punya menu untuk peak mode. Okay, peak mode ni function allows peak gas readings to be viewed. Okay, peak mode function can also be utilized for pre-entry checks where T4 is to be lowered into a confined space. So usually-nya peralatan ni dipakai juga untuk kita analysekan in terms of peak values. Kalau kita nak masuk confined space, usually kita akan gunakan alat ni, kita akan tekan dekat peak punya menu, peak punya symbol, dan kita lower down kepada dalam kita punya confined space lah. Usually kita nak check before kita masuk, peak level dia okey ke tak untuk personnel masuk ke dalam confined space tu lah. Means confined space ni ialah kawasan yang tertutup. So maknanya kita tak ada apa-apa ada gas lah kat dalam tu, kita nak identify gas berapa peak values dia. Okay, kita just select home screen untuk this icon, and then the screen opposite will show the peak readings for each gas. So kalau contohnya peak readings untuk yang dalam gambar ni, dia akan bagi for each gas. So after a few seconds, the clear countdown screen will be displayed. So once kita dah done peak reading, dia akan ambil peak reading dan dia akan clearkan untuk kita within 5 seconds lah. If you wish to clear, then press the operator button. If the operator button is not pressed, the display will continue to show the peak readings and the peak readings will not be cleared. So kalau kita dah select clear, baru dia akan clear. Kalau tak, dia akan keep on showing kita punya peak readings at that current time lah. Okay, peak readings will continue to be shown until the user exits the peak mode. Peak mode can also be useful during pre-entry checking of confined space. Peak mode can also be selected and T4 lowered into the area to be checked. When T4 is subsequently removed and the peak gas readings will be displayed on the screen, any alarm can be cancelled and the display will continue to indicate the peak gas reading lah. To exit the peak mode function, the operator button must be double-clicked to return to the menu screen and then double-click again to return to the home screen. Ensure that the T4 is returned to the home screen after the peak function is no longer required. This will ensure T4 is displaying current gas lah. So usually ni kita check dekat simbol-simbol bawah tu, make sure dia ada tunjuk simbol rumah lepas kita dah do for peak readings lah. So kalau tunjuk graph lagi, maknanya dia tak bagi kita current reading of kita punya kawasan. Dia bagi kita peak level of kita punya kawasan. So means that kalau contohnya paling tinggi is 100 ppm, dia akan baca situ 100 saja. So kalau kita nak tengok current reading, so kita go back to home punya screen, then dia akan show current values lah. Okay, peak readings are cleared to clean air nominal values. Peak readings are not monitored for the duration of a bump test and calibration. So this is standard lah. So this sekarang ni kita just go through all of the functions yang dekat bahagian bawah ni, so kita boleh tahu apa penggunaan dia lah. So STL is short term exposure limit. The STL function allows the current STL value to be displayed. With the home screen displayed, double click the operator button to access the menu functions. So kita select dekat bahagian pie chart ni, tapi dia ada 1/4 lah yang shaded. So double click to that symbol and then STL current value screen will display lah. T4 will revert back to home screen automatically after 30 seconds, or the operator button can be double click lah, so dia akan return to the home screen. So after 50 minutes, kita akan dapatkan STL punya values. So daripada situ kita boleh analyse lah, sebab sometimes in working areas, dia ada STL values and TWA values. And then in terms of working hours yang kita nak, and then kita boleh identify lah which value of limit yang kita kena refer to. Kalau contohnya within 8 hours, more than 8 hours, then kita follow TWA. Kalau within short periods of time, kita follow STL lah. Okay, similar to kita punya TWA, so kita just boleh select TWA with that current menu icon and then it will display. T4 will revert back to home screen automatically after 30 seconds, or the operator button can be double click to return to the home screen lah. So this is the selection, and tadi pun saya dah explain in terms of apa TWA bagi and macam mana calculation dia. Okay, for shutdown is quite easy. Just to turn T4 off, press and hold the operator button. A 5-second countdown will start. Hold the button down until the countdown has finished and T4 will shut down. If you release the button before the countdown has finished, T4 will resume operation. Once off, placed on a charge if required. T4 cannot be shut down if zero or bump test calibration in progress lah. So usually this is not the case. But kalau kita nak shut down, kita just press the operator button for more than 5 seconds, nanti dia akan shut down, power off completely lah. Okay, so that is the kita punya training slides for Crocon T4. So that's why tadi kalau kita nak go to menu, kita double click. So dia akan tunjuk menu dan dia akan highlight home punya symbol lah. Then kita nak go through kita punya selection of menus, kita tekan single click. Single click dia akan tukar simbol bawah tu. Okay. Okay Okay, daripada start lah. Okay. Okay. Right. Okay, so kita start off the unit by pressing the operator button. Okay, so sebabkan kita dah tutup tadi, so kita just buka balik, dia boleh try and resume lah. Kita start daripada awal, tak apa, kita biar dia countdown. Okay, so usually dia akan keluarkan in terms of dia punya status and in terms of kita punya gadget lah. Okay. Okay, dia akan tunjuk in terms of kita punya serial number from the startup. And also kita punya firmware version lah. Okay, and then in terms of user ni, kita boleh tengok user 1 in terms of siapa yang pakai. Okay, so currently dia showing kita is the current readings lah. So in terms of kita in terms of information. So currently dia tunjukkan kita juga in terms of cal due, berapa lama lagi. Okay. And then it will provide kita automatic zeroing for 5 seconds lah. Tak perlu tekan. Bila kita turn on, dia akan terus go through the process. Okay So daripada sini. Okay, so cara kita nak go through dia punya menu is that kita just tekan double click. Okay, dia akan keluar menu. And once dia dah keluar menu, baru kita tekan satu. Kita tekan operator button tu once, dia akan tukar. Okay, so sekarang ni kita under information. So kalau kita tekan next, is Z is for 0. Then kita tekan next is peak. Yes. Next is kita punya bump test. This is B. Okay. Next is kita punya STL. Yes. Okay. Next is this symbol is TWA. Okay, kalau kita tekan balik, dia akan go to menu lah. So that is all of the selected menu yang kita boleh pilih. So daripada situ, kalau kita nak select, contohnya kita nak pergi ke bahagian information. So kalau kita tak select anything, dia akan go back to main screen lah. So, nak select balik is double click, menu, baru move. Kalau kita nak STL, so kita just click until dia pergi kat bahagian simbol STL. Okay, so once dia dah keluar kat sini, kita okay, kita scroll through until dia STEL. Yes, tak, dia run dekat normal screen lah. This is STL, kita nak tengok in terms of 15 minutes. Yes, kalau nak select STL, tak apa, saya buat lagi sekali. Okay, menu, double click, then press one by one until you go to STL punya symbol. Double click again. Then akan tunjuk kita in terms of STL. And then dia punya menu bawah ni pun tak blinking lah. So kita means that kita dah select that one. So for instance, kalau kita nak go back to home screen, sebab STL ni is within 15 to 30 minutes punya data, kita go back to home screen, kita just double click lah. So dia akan pergi menu. STL tu dia still akan running. So kalau contohnya kita below than 15 minutes, so dia takkan bagilah kita the reading for STL. Kalau contohnya TWA pun within dalam 8 hours punya exposure baru dia dapat kita bagi reading lah. Okay. Yes. Kalau contohnya current peak reading, dia akan based on current punya ni lah. Dia akan save the most highest peak reading lah. Yes. So kalau kita scroll to peak punya symbol, double click, atau select lain. Okay. Scroll back. Okay, this one. So double click. So this is dia akan bagi kita the latest peak reading of kita punya unit lah. So contohnya dia akan tanya clear or not. So kalau contohnya kita tak select anything, dia akan maintain to that initial peak screen lah. So kalau kita clear, dia akan clear and then dia akan ambil balik peak reading yang baru. Okay. So daripada sini, you need to clear it first lah. Okay, contohnya I go back. Dia akan maintain the reading sebab kita nak kena analyse based on kita punya ni kan. So daripada situ kita clear, baru dia akan tunjukkan reading baru lah. Okay. So kalau contohnya kita go back, kita select kepada peak balik. Okay. Okay, contohnya bila kita tekan clear tu apa yang akan jadilah. Clear. So I think daripada situ dia akan bagi latest reading, so which is similar to yang one before, sama juga, which is currently O2 is 20.9 lah. So daripada situ when there's a difference, then we can see for dia punya peak levels lah. Kita boleh tengok in terms of other gases. Once after 15 minutes baru dia akan tunjuk data lah. Dia tak display. Once kita select, once after 15 minutes kita boleh view the STL. Kalau contohnya dah lebih dah level, dia akan bagi tahu kita lah. So dia akan terus keluar ada alarm. Yes, just let it run lah. Okay. So for this unit it's just a basic use, so tak ada apa-apa penggunaan yang susah. So usually penggunaan dia lah, kita akan clipkan this behind here into our baju lah. Contohnya usually ni dekat
kena charging ke macam mana ke?
Charging dia ada. Okay, kita akan go through the charging part. Kotak dia kat sana. Oh, buku besar dia. Tak bawa.
Nak berapa stroke kan? Buka satu nak berapa stroke tu kita kena
If I'm not
select.
mistaken, dalam dia ada instruction. Okay, so kalau kita tengok dekat apa yang kita supply sekali dengan Quanti4 ni is that kita punya calibration clip lah. So kalau contohnya hantar kepada lab atau you nak do a bump test, then you require this clip lah. Kalau contohnya nak hantar pada kita, kita dah ada various sets, so tak ada masalah. So kalau contohnya you ada, then you bagi sekali, kita akan bagi balik lah. So usually part ni ialah untuk for calibration punya part lah. Okay, so kalau contohnya nak pemasangan dia, dia akan klipkan macam ni lah. So usually kalau kita nak buat calibration, macam ni lah dia punya proses pemakaian dia lah, pemasangan dia. So daripada situ, daripada calibration untuk bump test and calibration, kita perlukan this clip lah. Okay. Kalau kita nak generally use, kita just buka, terus kita simpan di sana. Kalau contohnya kita nak simpan within our locker ataupun kita nak savekan dia punya gas sensors, yang kita pasang lah. So once kita nak pakai, kita just buka dan baru kita akan dapat accurate reading. Yes. So dia boleh at least tak ada any gases yang akan masuk lah sebab kita dah tutup. Yes. Tapi in terms of clean air, that's why dia tak mention ambient air ataupun outside air. Dia asalkan clean air and breathable, and then kita identify sendiri from our smell atau nose, tak ada yang ada within gases range atau mana-mana. Then kita okay lah to do it within the classroom pun tak apa, tak ada masalah. Okay, so in terms of charging, Okay, so the connection of kita punya docking station ialah macam ni. Turunkan. Okay. So daripada sini dia ialah docking untuk kita punya Crocon gas detector. So daripada sini kita dah connectkan kita punya AC cable and also pakai dia punya adapter yang betul lah. Okay, sebab kita ada various adapters untuk kita bawa overseas ataupun kita nak bawa ke negara yang lain lah. Okay, so dari situ is cara pemasangannya is just kita slipkan dia masuk ke dalam. So once contohnya dia ada just like that lah. So kita just cabut pasang, kita just tengok based on kita punya tu, slide dia masuk. Just like that. Dia try cabut pasang lah. So kadang-kadang kita tak tahu ketat, cukup ketat. Yes. Dia akan ada blinking LED lah. Blinking LED and then dia juga indikator daripada bateri ni akan tunjuk full lah. Dari belakang senang sikit nampak. So betul lah apa yang Cik Bang buat. So tengok dari belakang, dah masuk slot and then kita dah tekan pun dia dah fully immersed dah. So sorry, macam mana? Yes, sometimes kita tak tahu whether it's fully immersed or not. Kita tengoklah whether blinking LED tu within charging ataupun tak lah. And then in terms of kita tengok bateri tu tak ada movement atau apa-apa. So dari situ kita boleh tengok lah. Okay.
Yes, yang ini. Stop, then we go this. Hands on.
The following video shows how to use the Kitagawa gas detector tube system. Be sure to read the instruction manual for the sampling pump, as well as the instruction manual that comes with each box of detector tubes prior to use. There are two parts to the Kitagawa gas detector tube system, the detector tubes and the sampling pump. You can find detailed information for the Kitagawa sampling pump and the many kinds of gas detector tubes on our website. We're going to measure carbon dioxide in the air using detector tube number 126SF. Start with a sealed, unbroken detector tube. Open the cap to the detector tube tip cutter. Hold the lower portion of the detector tube and insert the tip of the detector tube into the tip cutter. Rotate the detector tube to score the glass. Then pull the detector tube towards you to break off the end of the tube. Repeat the procedure with the other end of the detector tube. After cutting both ends of the detector tube, close the cap to the tip cutter. Insert the detector tube into the pump's sample inlet. With the arrow pointing toward the pump. The arrow indicates the direction of the sample gas flow. Push the pump handle to confirm it is pushed in completely. Align the red line on the pump handle with the red line on the pump body. We are now ready to begin sampling. Pull the pump handle straight out. It will automatically lock when it is fully extended. A sample is now being drawn through the detector tube. The sampling time varies for each detector tube model. You can find the sampling time for each tube on the tube's instruction manual. A sample finish indicator is located in the head of the pump. It pops out when the sampling is completed. Here you can see the position of the sample finish indicator during sampling and when the sampling is completed. After the sampling is completed, turn the handle 90 degrees clockwise or counterclockwise to unlock the handle. Confirm that the handle remains fully extended. Remove the detector tube from the pump. Read the maximum end of the stain against the printed scale on the detector tube. For tube 126SF, the colour changes from pink to yellow. If the end of the stain is between graduation marks, estimate the concentration. The concentration of carbon dioxide in this sample is approximately 500 ppm. Push the pump handle back into the pump so it is ready for your next measurement. This detector tube is so sensitive that it can detect carbon dioxide from your breath. That's all there is to using the Kitagawa gas detector tube system. As you can see, it is easily operated with a minimum of training. With the Kitagawa gas detector tube system, an accurate measurement of gas concentration is possible without the need for expensive instruments or equipment.
Cik Isman, yang apa ni tu SOP tu nak minta yang macam tu aja, macam nombor-nombor macam tu kan. Okey, step tu. Dia ringkas, senang faham.
Remember, be sure to read the instruction manual for the sampling pump and each detector tube prior to use, in order to assure proper operation.
Okay. Ini ada 3 dengan belum selepas. Ini satu aja.
Dia satu ni ke? Memang panjang macam ni ke?
Bukan, dia memang yang itu memang macam tu. Yang itu memang macam tu. Yang ini satu aja, yang itu memang macam tu.
Dia satu.
Dia ada connecting tu. Yang ini tak ada connecting tube kan? Dia satu aja kan?
Satu saja.
So kalau kita dah patahkan dia kan, dia akan masuk dekat bahagian mana is
Oh, ni boleh tanggal.
So dia
yang
masuk
ini. Dia
arrow
macam
tu
ni.
masuk ke dalam pump lah.
Arrow tu ni
is
masuk ke dalam pump. Okey,
Yes,
faham.
this one is masuk dalam.
Yes, okey.
Okay, so once kita dah break off lah. So daripada situ, kalau contohnya kita dah tengok kat sini,
This one okey.
berapa stroke.
Yang ini.
This one.
Ini senang aja satu je, senang cerita.
Okay. Untuk 3
Enak
pump
yang-
strokes, iaitu for range ni, kalau dia mention untuk 3 pump strokes is daripada 1 hingga 35 ppm lah. So kita sampling time is 3 minutes. So means that each stroke kena 1 minit.
Satu
Means
stroke
bila kita
1 minit.
dah alignkan dia, kita dah patahkan, kita dah masukkan apa semua. So, macam dia tunjuk kat video tadi, kita alignkan dan kita tarik sampai habis.
Tunjuk sana.
Okay. So bila kita dah tarik sampai habis,
Kuat.
dan dia akan, indikator ni akan tunjukkan kita lah. Once kalau contohnya dah seminit, dia akan keluar. So kalau contohnya bila dia dah keluar tu, means dah habis dah 1 minit. So kita nak go for yang stroke yang kedua dan ketiga. Satu tarik, satu stroke.
Dia keluar, dia akan keluar ni.
Dia akan pop out keluar.
Sekarang ni masih
Sekarang ni kira ni sebab saya tak pasang PO. So dia memang
Kita buat
kosong lah.
kita buat dulu.
Kita buat dulu macam ni.
Kita buat dulu from the first initially break the tube balik.
So kalau kita nak turnkan tu, kita dah unlockkan dia. So kita dah move to the side, tolak balik ke dalam. So dah kira satu kan tadi kan? Dia dah keluar indikator. So kita turn balik. Kita tarik sampai habis. Second stroke. Itu kalau dia kat sini, 3 stroke, means that dah kali kedua lah.
Oh, dia kena tarik full jugalah, bukan
Tarik
dia
full.
separuh.
Bukan dia ada rasa top.
Okay, satu stroke means that satu tarik habis lah. Half stroke means
Separuh.
Satu stroke tu bermaknanya
2 kali.
100
ml.
ml. Kalau separuh tu is 50 ml lah. So kalau kita tengok kat sini, dia tunjuk in terms of 2,5 pump stroke. Means that 2 kali kita tarik.
Masa yang
Yang slow dia, kita yang paling first kita tarik half dulu. Tarik half dulu. So kita start dengan half dulu, baru kita start
Dia dah
dengan
ada.
Kalau kita start dengan full
3 stroke.
full itu, so third
Yalah dia alis, dia nampak kan 3 stroke nanti orang nampak.
walaupun dia dah half tu, kita start dengan yang
Another
kecil.
thing is dia yang kena tengok yang
Start dengan half dulu, baru kita start dengan the other two lah.
Okay, now Anjay Bahar.
Alright.
So daripada sini kita akan tengok perubahan color dia daripada putih
Ke
brownish
brownish
orange.
color.
Itu kalau ada in terms of formaldehyde lah. Kalau dia ada detect formaldehyde. Kalau tak ada, means tak ada lah formaldehyde dalam this area. Okay. Dia detector tube and retect tube contain chemical reagents. Do not touch the reagents directly once tubes are broken. Keep the tubes out of reach of children. So kita kena baca lah sebab kita kena tahu in terms of apa perlu yang dia pakai, apa yang kita perlu kenakan. Okay. So daripada sini dia ada yang kita punya one part kita ialah this one. And then the other part is kita punya reagent kita yang this one lah. Okay. So in terms of connection dia, so kita kena identify usually arrow is ke arah kita punya pump. So kalau contohnya kita pakai kat bahagian atas pun still kita kena connect that flow. Arrow tu. Setiap detector tube brand apa pun dia akan ada that arrow. So daripada situ kita boleh tengok lah.
Tak nampak.
Ni kena buat macam makeup sikit. Arrow tu.
Yes.
Dari sini.
Arrow.
Yes, that arrow lah. So daripada arrow tu kita boleh identify that is the flow yang kita akan masuk ke dalam pump lah. So connection dia usually macam ni lah.
Okay. Dan you patahkan one lah.
Okay, sekejap cari candle.
Tak
Tak nampak.
Turun.
Okay. So daripada sini
Okay,
kita masukkan.
patahkan.
Masukkan. Okay,
Then
so
we
kita nak
start now.
patahkan. Sekejap saya tengok connection dia is that kita kena connectkan this one.
Kena patahkan dulu baru boleh connect.
Yes.
Dan
Just nak ensurekan the
yes,
connection.
tadi I dah tunjuk ni.
Right. So akan jadi macam ni
Dia
lah.
macam ni. Kan ini ke dalam, ini
Yes.
ke pump. Dia macam
So dia macam ni lah.
Betul,
Yes,
betul,
betul.
macam ni.
So kita just patahkan.
So, nanti Bahar patahkan satu, dia
Satu
patahkan.
saya patahkan sebelahnya lagi.
Tak apa, patahkan yang ni.
Ada empat. That's
Ada
why I
empat.
said-
Dia memang letak tepi lah. Okay.
Yang ni
So
baru-
usually kita daripada kita punya ni, tak kisahlah atas atau bawah dulu. Just kita masukkan dia dekat dia punya
Nanti
tube
saya kena patahkan juga.
tip cutter ni.
Tak apa, satu.
Nanti kalau tak nak,
Kita
patah
boleh share
hati
satu.
dah.
Okay, so
share
kita
satu
just
dulu.
pusing
Patah
sikit
hati.
untuk bagi dia cala dan kita
Okay.
breakkan macam tu.
Lepas tu
Okay.
yang dalam tu tak perlu buang.
Yang dalam tu usually kita boleh keluarkan macam tu ataupun kita just cabut the whole thing dan baru kita buang.
Oh, okay.
Bagi akan kumpul lah, so kita tak ada litter around.
That is better.
Okay, so kita scotchkan sama dan kita patahkan jugalah.
Okay.
Pusing sikit.
Oh,
Patah. Okay,
Next.
so kita dah patah one.
Okay, Encik Bahar patah.
Okay, Ibu pula patahkan yang that one.
Yang penting dia.
Yang
Kalau
penting
tak,
saya,
siapa yang boleh tolong saya? Saya dua tangan aja tahu semua
Yang
instrument I.
Masukkan,
Dua tangan.
pusing sikit, bagi dia celah and then
Patahkan ke kanan, ke kiri. Yes.
Bismillah.
Dah.
Okay.
okay, satu
So,
itu.
next
Sambung
one,
aja.
masukkan.
Pusing sikit.
Pusing sikit.
Yes.
Okay.
And then you
Baru kita
pasangkan.
connectkan lah.
Connectkan
So
dia.
kita connectkan dia dari sini.
You facing that, facing
Okay.
that.
So, kita ambil kat sini.
Macam patah hati kan.
Then connectkan
Okay.
yang itu.
So kita dah connect dekat this one part here. And then the other part kita masukkan kat sini lah. Okay. So daripada sini kita ensurekan dia punya arrow tu sama, tak perlu kita align for both lah.
Arrow
So
sama.
just connectkan kedua.
Okay. So I rasa tak perlu zoom
Okay.
in already.
Okay, usually daripada sini dia dah fully inserted and then dia tak senang tercabut, okay lah. So kita just tahu, boleh check lah from here. So daripada
Ke
situ,
sini. Yes, okay, dah.
okay, so
yes.
daripada sini just masukkan in terms of the arrow tu masuk ke dalam kita punya pump.
Okay.
Okay, kita dah insert, tak payah force lah. Kita dah make sure dia dah
Insert
masuk.
saja. Okay.
Okay.
First
So-
stroke you.
Okay, first stroke.
Apa ni tu?
So kita nak tahu berapa stroke. Kita
3
tengok
stroke.
daripada kita punya ni ada 3 stroke.
Tiga stroke.
So kita alignkan yang warna merah ni dan kita fully tarik.
Tutup balik.
Okay, dan kita just fully tarik. So
Okay,
dia akan lock.
Color mana?
Okay, so daripada indikator ni pun dia dah masuk. Okay, daripada indikator ni dia dah masuk. So nanti dia akan keluar warna merah lah once dia dah ada habis for 1 minute.
Dia tak akan merah lah. Lepas tu sekarang indikator kan on.
Yes.
So lepas tu
So means after 1 minute kita boleh turn it to 90 degrees.
tutup
Kita tolak balik ke dalam sampai habis dan kita align dia balik dan tarik balik. Itu for second stroke lah. Okay, so dia dah keluar.
Okay.
Okay, so sekarang ni
Kejap, 1 minit. Dah keluar tu tunjuk kat sini.
Sudah.
okay, so dekat
Yes.
situ dia ada keluar indikator tu lah. Tadi dia ke dalam, so sekarang ni dia dah terkeluar. So means dah habis lah first stroke tu.
So,
Okay, second stroke.
you
twist
turn,
kan ni.
twistkan
Twist alternator sekarang ni.
90
Ini
degree.
ke sini.
Okey.
Okay, ini tolak masuk balik ke
Tolak
dalam.
balik.
Okay, so pusing balik ke arah merah ni tadi.
Okey.
Dia ada align dengan warna merah ni.
Tadi tu.
Okey.
Warna merah.
Tarik.
Depan sikit,
Tarik
depan
balik.
sikit.
Tarik
depan
sampai
sikit.
habis.
Yes.
Itu.
Makan.
Tarik.
Okey.
Nak line merah.
Okey, tarik sampai
Tarik.
habis.
Tarik.
Tarik.
Yes,
Jangan
tarik
stop.
sampai habis.
Weh, ketat.
Dia ketat
memang
sebab dia dah ada.
Nanti take, okay, stop.
Okay, dia dah klik means dia dah
Nampak
lock.
dia punya indicator.
Indikator tu kalau kita tengok dia dah ke dalam balik lah. From before.
Yes.
So means tadi dia dah keluar, so sekarang ni dia dah ke dalam balik.
Memang,
yes.
memang dia.
Sometimes kalau
Macam kita pump basikal.
kalau contohnya bila kita tak fully tarik, dia tak sempat lock,
Dia
benda tu akan
pop.
tendang balik.
Dia akan pop.
Tendang balik. So bila dia tendang balik tu sometimes kita boleh sakit tangan lah. So that's why kita
Macam
kena
pump
pegang
basikal
properly
lah.
dan tarik sampai habis.
Nanti kita jangan tarik.
Okay, so the indicator dia dah keluar. Selesai go for the third stroke Kita
yes.
turn. Kita tolak sampai habis. Pusing.
Bukan tunggu dia ni.
Dah keluar.
Dia dah turun.
Okay,
Dia dah
so
keluar.
kita just tarik.
Tarik. Okay, that's slow.
So dia akan lock. So daripada situ indikator dia still akan masuk ke dalam. Daripada situ nanti dia akan keluar lah once dia dah habis sampling for the third stroke lah. So once dia dah habis, kita just ikut prosedur tadi where kita
Baca.
masukkan ke dalam balik and then kita just keluar and then kita baca dia punya reading.
So kita kena tunggu dia keluar. Turun sikit.
Turun sikit.
Yes.
So kita nampak dia keluar.
Dia dah keluar dah.
Okay. Okay.
Nampak dah. Okay,
Okay,
so
so daripada situ once kita dah complete lah 3 strokes as per dia punya instruction.
tutup balik.
Kita just tolak balik ke dalam. Okay. Then kita just cabut.
Okay.
So
So
daripada
reading.
situ kita ambil reading dekat kita punya this tube. Okay, from this tube kita akan ambil reading dia.
Dah nampak. Here, yes.
Okay, so usually-nya from this reading kita akan tengoklah in terms of berapa
Brown colour.
dia akan
Dari atas.
supposedly dia akan change to brownish orange.
Memang tak
Daripada
ada.
putih brownish orange sebab this is formaldehyde. So at least maybe lah for the next presentation kita boleh tengok tunjukkan in terms of CO2. So kalau CO2 macam dia buat tadi lah. So dia akan ada give concentration. So daripada situ once dia dah coloured, dia dah change. So kita boleh tengok in terms of the levels based on kita punya apa orang cakap tu human error lah. Kita tengok directly straight to the eye, from the eye 90 degrees.
Yeah.
So kita boleh tengok in terms of berapa ppm yang dah keluar for each tube lah.
Okay.
Ni sekali je guna kan?
Yeah.
Sekali je guna.
Buang.
Dia dah patah, dia tak boleh simpan balik. So kita
And
kena
then
terus masuk dalam pump.
How to handle this waste? Hazardous waste ke apa?
This is considered hazardous waste lah sebab dia ada reagents dia tadi and then you have to keep away from people touching it ataupun benda tu pecah from you touching it yourself lah.
Gelas lah.
It's considered glass and also dia punya hazardous waste lah sebab kita di dalam barang dalam dia kita tak boleh buang sebarangan anywhere sebab dia take the sample and then dia ada juga reagents dia untuk tukarkan dia punya colours to identify whether there is ni lah.
Yes. Okay.
So make sure every detector tube you baca instruction dia punya manual so you boleh tahu berapa stroke yang you perlukan.
Dia lain-lain
Dia lain-lain.
lain-lain.
Setiap tu ada different strokes and then setiap tu ada sometimes pakai satu saja,
Yang
sometimes
itu
kita
semua
pakai
satu,
dua.
yang ini dua. That's why I nak dia demo yang dua.
So demo yang dua basically the same lah compared to yang lama.
Bukan-
Just connection dia.
Yes, connection tu.
Connection dia is kita kena pantau yang kira arrow tu is masuk ke dalam pump.
pump.
So every time the arrow tunjuk ke dalam, tunjuk arrow tu kita dia facing towards us ataupun the pump lah.
Yeah, sure.
So daripada situ kita identify and then kena tahu in terms of berapa stroke kita nak pakai and then in terms of berapa level yang kita nak tu. Sebab apa kalau contohnya ada yang juga dia tunjukkan from 1 to 2 stroke berapa range. From 2 to 3 stroke berapa range.
Yes, ada.
So depend on kita nak berapa range yang dia reading tu, kita tengok berapa stroke yang dia ambil. So kalau contohnya dia 2 strokes, dia bagi dalam range of sampai 40 ppm. Kalau kita nak lebih daripada 40 ppm, dalam dia punya data sheet pun tunjuk yang dia boleh read lebih daripada 40 ppm tapi dengan 3 stroke. So kita ambil 3 stroke. So kita depending on berapa stroke tu is berapa level yang kita nak ni lah monitor lah in terms of berapa dia punya gas. So daripada situ is penggunaan yang kita punya alat ni is quite easy lah. So kalau contohnya
macam mana nak buang dalam okey.
Tu ada tambah ataupun
Tambah. Ada ini plastik bag ke? Ada kertas tu nanti
kita
kertas A4 tu.
okay, so kalau kita tengok kat dalam ni
Buang
kita
dalam
ada
ni.
lah.
Then letak all the things inside.
Okay. So tube ni semua ada kat dalam ni. So be careful lah nanti takut you luka.
Ikat sekali nanti boleh.
Tutup.
Terus dia rasa cari botol chemical.
Bukan botol, dia
Ada
kena
itu,
plastik.
ada
Waste,
Ada
hazardous
tong waste
waste
ada.
stock yang plastik.
Tong waste
kuning
plastik
tu.
kuning.
Yang kuning tu dia kena lapik dengan plastik dulu baru masuk dalam tong tu.
Okay. So ni nanti buang.
Ya.
So cara kita nak buang tu ialah kita
Keluarkan.
tuangkan
Tuangkan
dan kita
dan
keluarkan
masuk
and then
balik.
kita just masuk balik je.
Okey, thank you.
So buat easy.
So
Sebab-
filter tu dia mungkin tak perlu tukar.
This one tak perlu.
Tak perlu,
Tak perlu.
okay.
Tapi
Dia
in
tak
terms
ada
of
kaca dalam tu.
dia tak ada kaca je. Dia just macam slot untuk kita
okay,
twist
boleh.
bagi dia calar sikit dia punya kaca
Okay.
tu and then kita boleh patah.
Okey, boleh.
So usually ni kalau macam
Dia
contohnya
bukan
other
filter,
brands
okay.
dia ada bagi kata yang berbeza sebab dia tak ada kata dekat sini.
Yes. that is
So for
why.
yang this one is quite easy lah, semua you bawa pump saja dah kira dah boleh buat lah.
Okay.
Dia jadi
Yes. Thank you. Encik Azam dah.
Okay.
Dah. Thank you because senang sikit dia ada video dia memang nampak betul-betul sudah nampak dari situation.
Boleh review balik.
Boleh review.